You know, when it comes to dance movies, right? I remember some good dance movies, man. There's some great dance movies I remember, man. Like Dirty Dancing with Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey. I like You Got Served. I thought that was a good movie with Mario and all them. Footloose with Kevin Bacon. Save the Last Dance. I love that movie too. Flashdance. Saturday Night Fever. The TV show Fame. It's a lot of good dance movies, but my favorite was Breaking. Ozone and Turbo. Man, I wanted to be like them so bad when I used to break dance, man. I used to study their moves and everything. Shabba-Doo is considered the godfather of street dance, the godfather of breakdancing, and he was hip-hop's first matinee idol. They named him hip-hop's first matinee idol by Dance Magazine. He's one of the greatest innovators of the dance style, usually known as locking. And him and his crew, the Lockers, Rerun and all them, Fred Berry, the Lockers, Tony Basil, they set the trends, man. That's why you got shows like So You Think You Can Dance and America's Best Dance Crew and stuff like that. And look, and if it wasn't for Shabba-Doo, who knows where hip-hop would be right now, because breakdancing played a big part in bringing hip-hop in the beginning. It won't just DJing and rapping and graffiti in the 5 elements of hip-hop, but breakdancing played a major role. But you know, when it comes to Shabba-Doo's career, man, the man done did movies, TV shows, major concert tours, Broadway musical theater stage plays, and everything. He done choreographed shows for Luther Vandross, Madonna, Lionel Richie, and many more. Let's get into his story, right? Let's get right into the story now. Shabba-Doo, whose real name is Adolfo Quiñones, he was born May 11th, 1955 in Chicago, Illinois. Now, his father was a Puerto Rican, and his mother was Ethiopian and a Jehovah's Witness, and she raised him and his sister Fawn as a single parent after his father left by the time Adolfo turned 3 years old. Now I'm gonna say Shabba-Doo now, right? Now Shabba-Doo and Fawn also got 2 half brothers and half sisters on the father's side. But anyway, now growing up in Chicago, right? Shabba-Doo grew up primarily on the north side, and he also stayed in one of the most notorious housing projects in the world at the time, which was Cabrini Greens. Now, ever since the age of 4 or 5 years old, he always loved dancing, and at parties, right, his mother, she used to have little get-togethers and everything, and he would dance. They was to ask him to dance all the time. And some of the idols that influenced him when he was coming up was Cab Calloway, Fred Astaire, James Brown, Jackie Wilson, and many more. He also listened to a lot of salsa music. Like I said, his father was Spanish. But for the most part, when he was young, he was a loner though. And he stayed to himself, dancing and writing stories, just being creative, because it was just so dangerous in the neighborhood at the time. And his name, Adolfo, was kind of hard to say, so the kids would call him Alpo. The kids used to call him Alpo. Now, by the time he got in his teens, he actually attended Cooley High, and he would hang with the gangsters and the street thugs in the streets and do crazy things. But for the most part, he tried to stay away from the street life and the gangs, and he would just focus on dancing. He said instead of fighting, he would challenge someone to dance. That was his thing. And that's when him and his sister got the chance to do the show Soul Train when it was in Chicago. And when Don Cornelius moved the show to California, they was heartbroken. But by the early 1970s, his mother decided it was time to move from Chicago because the crime was so bad. So they moved to Los Angeles, California. Now in California, right? And he was 16 years old when he moved to California in his teens. It was kind of like a culture shock for him, because when he got to Cali, everybody was rocking different types of clothes he never seen before. They was wearing more bright, loud colors, which was different from Chicago, but Shabba-Doo, he blended right on in and got in the mix. And one night, his sister Fawn convinced him to steal their mother's car so they could enter a dance contest at Fullerton College with the Black Student Union, right? Now, when they went to that dance contest, they ended up meeting a guy named Greg Camelot Jr., who ended up winning first place at that dance contest they was at. And I think Fawn took second place. Now, Shabba-Doo and his sister Fawn usually would outshine anybody on the dance floor back in Chicago. But when they saw Camelot Jr. do his lock dance, they were amazed. And that's when they asked him, would he teach them how to pop lock? Because see, Camelot Jr. really got the dance from Don Camelot Campbell, who's the originator, who created the locking style. Because now Don said he created the locking style because he couldn't do the robot dance. He was missing some steps. That's how he came up with the dance style, just locking. His body would just lock. And Camelot Jr., he just emulated and copied the dance from him. And that's why they call him Camelot Jr. And Camelot Jr. was also part of the Soul Train gang. He was a dance member for the Soul Train gang at the time. And he thought Shabba-Doo and his sister Fawn performance was pretty good. And he offered to bring them on a Soul Train show. I mean, he asked Fawn to come first, but then he asked Shabba-Doo. And Camelot also gave him his first dance name, which was Sir Lancelot. And they made him the last and the youngest member of the original crew. But later on, he changed it to Shabba-Doo after hearing the legendary R&B group Bloodstone harmonizing the word Shabba-Doo. You know how they used to do that Shabba-Doo, all that stuff. But he heard them doing that in the club one night, and then he just changed his name to Shabba-Doo. But anyway, after that, Camelot Jr. and Shabba-Doo became like best friends, and he became his mentor. Plus, he started dating his sister Fawn. Now with Camelot Jr., right, he would introduce him to future Hall of Famer Soul Train dancers Fred Berry, who was known as Mr. Penguin at that time, but we know as Rerun on What's Happening. Another locker, Greg Pope, Bill Slim the Robot Williams, Scooby-Doo, and Fluky Luke. And they would practice every day and perform in local clubs. After that, they were all dancing on Soul Train, and they became popular and everybody's favorite. Now, Don Cornelius knew that they were making the show ratings jump higher than his rival at that time, who was Dick Clark with the American Bandstand show. But see, Don Cornelius was cheap though. He wouldn't pay them. He would just buy them KFC chicken. Wow, that's crazy. They felt like he should pay them something. And that's when, Don Camelot and Fred Berry asked Don Cornelius to pay them $50 an episode. And, Don Cornelius refused and kicked them off of Soul Train. Then he kicked all of them off the show. Wow. Don Cornelius, man. That Don Cornelius story, I got it. Y'all can check that out. That's on my channel too. Now, after they got kicked off the Soul Train show, that's when Tony Basil, who Don Campbell, now see, Tony Basil, right? Don Campbell met her at a club and started teaching her how to lock. And later on, he became her boyfriend. But anyway, she came with the idea that they should just start a dance group and call themselves the Lockers. Because see, back to Tony, right? Tony Basil came from a showbiz family. She was already famous. She's been in the business all her life. So she put the group together and she organized it. She made them professional because she had the connections too. Like I said, she'd been in the show business all her life and her family had those connections. So she became the manager and the choreographer, and then she added herself to the group. And once they formed the group, Shabba dropped out of school and it was off to the races with the group, the Lockers. And they took off. The Lockers took off. They danced on Saturday Night Live, the Dick Van Dyke Show, The Carol Burnett Show, The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. They was doing beer commercials. They even opened up for Frank Sinatra, man. Carnegie Hall. Doing stuff for Sammy Davis Jr., Roberta Flack. I mean, they was doing their thing. In 1976, Shabba-Doo ended up marrying his girlfriend, Gwendolyn Powell, who also danced on Soul Train with him. Now, in 1977, right, the Lockers, they broke up due to creative differences, and everybody just went their separate ways. I mean, they tried to add new members to keep it going, and Shabba-Doo became the leader at that point of the group, but it just didn't work. You know, Fred Berry, Mr. Penguin, ended up getting on the show What's Happening as Rerun, who we all love. And I remember the Lockers was on one of the episodes too. And you know what's crazy? All the Lockers auditioned for that Rerun role, but Fred Berry just stood out and got the part. Now, Toni Basil, she left, right? Later on, she became a singer, and she had a hit song called Mickey, that Hey Mickey jump. And you know, that cheerleading song, that went #1, was Grammy nominated and sold millions. And Shabba-Doo, he just went solo and started focusing on his own career. And he appeared in a Broadway show called Divine Madness. He ended up being on an NBC show called The Big Show with Flip Wilson. And he was in a movie called Disco Fever. Now, also around that time, Shabba ended up meeting Michael Chambers, better known as Boogaloo Shrimp. Now see, Boogaloo Shrimp was just a popular young kid who didn't want to get involved in the gang life during that time, and he just became a street dancer. He was good at dancing. He was also known for his unique b-boy breakdancing style that got a lot of attention. Now look, Boogaloo, man, Boogaloo also said he taught, here we go again, he taught Michael Jackson how to moonwalk. He's the one that created the moonwalk, but Jeffrey Daniels from the R&B group Shalimar be claiming that he taught Michael. I don't know. They say it was Boogaloo Shrimp and Pop and Taco who helped Michael Jackson with his dancing, and it's documented. But here's the crazy part. According to Michael Jackson, in his moonwalk book, he said Bobby Brown from New Edition, Bobby Brown was one of the 3 kids that taught him how to do that dance. Wow. That's crazy. I don't know. That's what they say. But anyway, Boogaloo Shrimp became so popular later on, man. He was in the Paula Abdul video, Opposites Attract. He did the movements for the MC Scat Cat in that video. He was in commercials and everything. And he got a good documentary out right now. Y'all can check out to get deep into his life. But anyway, so Boogaloo Shrimp ended up meeting Shabba-Doo, who at the time, Shabba-Doo was putting a new dance group together because he had just left the Lockers. They had split up. So that's how Shabba-Doo and Boogaloo Shrimp got down. That's how they got down together. Plus, their parents were both Jehovah's Witnesses, and Boogaloo's mother trusted him. Now, after that, Shabba got word that R&B singer Lionel Richie was shooting a video in the area, and that's how he got to work with the singer Lionel Richie and was in the All Night Long video. Boogaloo Shrimp, you go back and look at that video, Boogaloo Shrimp was all the breakers was in there. Leela Rashad was in there too. So they got in the All Night Long video, and they toured with Lionel Richie and Sheila E. across the world, all in Japan and everywhere, right? Then he was in Shaka Khan's video, I Feel For You, which is still a classic to this day. Now, also around that time, right, Shabba-Doo and his wife, Gwendolyn, like I said, they got married. They ended up getting divorced. And he ended up marrying Leela Rashad, who was in the All Night Long video. I guess that's how they met. That's probably how they met. And y'all know Leela Rashad from the movies Waiting to Exhale. She was in Harlem Nights as the girl Sunshine. She was Sunshine. She was in Boomerang, Why Do Fools Fall in Love, bunch of movies, right? But anyway, so in 1983, Shabba put together the first West Coast hip-hop documentary about breakdancing, which was called Breaking and Entering. And he got it kind of turned into a movie when he sold the idea to Tapa Carew over at Rainbow Productions. Y'all know later on, Tapa Carew was the executive producer and co-creator of The Martin Lawrence Show. But anyway, look, So that breaking and entering documentary, right, that Shabba-Doo put together, it introduced the world to all the famous street dances we all know, like Poppin' Taco, Anna Lollipop, Sanchez, Poppin' Pete, Boogaloo Shrimp, and a bunch of others. And they made Shabba the choreographer and the talent coordinator and gave him his own office. That's how much power he had at the time. And look, that documentary even put Ice-T, rapper Ice-T, on the map, because at the time nobody knew him. Now, when he put that documentary together, right, everybody wanted to work with Shabba as the choreographer. And that's when he got a call from some movie directors. One of them was named Joel Silberg, who, it was Israeli cats that did action movies and stuff like that. But these cats, they weren't into hip-hop like that. They weren't into the hip-hop stuff, but their kids were. And they wanted Shabba-Doo to help choreograph a movie called Breaking, which was inspired by the documentary Breaking and Entering, plus the movie B Street at the time. Now see, at first, the plan was to have Shabba-Doo help with the dancing scenes, but then he asked him if he could act. And that's how he got in the movie as Ozone, in which the character really was 18 years old, even though Shabba-Doo, he was in his 30s in real life at the time. He might have been 29 or something like that, but he looked young. He can play that part because he looked young. But they just asked him to play the part, even though, you know, when he was with the Lockers, he was all over television dancing, but he never really acted before. But they just wanted him to be himself, and he just couldn't pass the opportunity. He couldn't pass on the opportunity. Plus, he had a fractured wrist. He wasn't gonna let nothing stop that role. Because look, the staff just loved the style, and they especially loved the chemistry between him and Boogaloo Shrimp when they was auditioning for the part. When they saw that chemistry between them, they wanted Boogaloo Shrimp in the movie too as a main character, which was Turbo. That's how all them dancers got in the movie. On the strength of Shabba-Doo, he had the streets on lock. Black, Spanish neighborhoods, he had them on lock with the dancing. And guess what? Karate martial artist, actor Jean-Claude Van Damme was also in that movie too. Wow. Even Muhammad Ali stopped by the set. Everybody was out there, man, when he was shooting that movie. But it's crazy because all the wardrobe and the clothes was really their style. That's Shabba's style. That's what they was wearing in the street. That was their own clothes. The funny earrings, the Converse, and the dirty looking shoes, and rat tail, the hats, the gloves on the hand, everything. That's how they really dressed every day in the street during that time. Now look, Shabba-Doo also said that he was the first one to wear the bandana on his belt and on his ankles. Wow. And on May 4th, 1984, the movie Breaking was released to the theaters, and it was a box office success. Look, the movie budget was only about $900,000 or $1 million to make it, and the movie ended up grossing over $38.7 million. Wow. And it only took 21 days to make the movie. That's crazy. That movie really helped hip-hop become a force, because people really thought hip-hop and breakdancing and all that stuff was a fad at the time. But you can't forget movies like B Street, Wild Style either. They brought hip-hop and breakdancing to the light too. But B Street and Breaking, it just showed that all races of people could work together, from black, white, Hispanic, whatever, and enjoy hip-hop. It was a young generation thing at that time. And that movie was just, I love that movie, man. Turbo with the dance scene with the broom. Everybody was trying to copy that. When the movie Breaking became a hit, right, the same year, they hurry up and put Breaking 2 out, Electric Boogaloo, which took $3 million to make, but it only grossed $15 million, but it was still a classic. I still love Part 2 better. I still think Part 2 is better, especially when the dancing to the song that Dendada, the Dendada song. Man, I used to break dance off that song like crazy, me and my cousins and stuff, man. Pitbull, Yeah, Pitbull used that sample too for his song Shake with the Yin Yang Twins. And look, you can't forget, in that movie, you can't forget when Turbo was dancing on the ceiling. That was crazy during that time. But anyway, now, after breaking right, Shabba-Doo, he appeared in an episode on the show Miami Vice at that time, which was a big show at that time. In 1987, he helped Michael Jackson with the Bad video. And he also went on tour with Madonna. He became the lead choreographer for Madonna's Who's That Girl tour. And they also dated. He dated Madonna for a while. Madonna's linked to a lot of people, man. Tupac, she done dated Tupac, some big time drug dealers, Haitian Jack, Peter Shue. She dated Vanilla Ice, Dennis Rodman. Even, they say Michael Jackson, I don't know, but the list goes on. She dated a lot of people. Anyway, after the Madonna tour, right, she wanted Shabba-Doo to do another tour with her, which was the Blonde Ambition tour. But he had to decline her offer because he had to do the movie, Lambada, the Lambada movie, because he wanted to focus more on his acting career at that time. In 1989, Shabba-Doo also won the Lifetime Achievement Award for Outstanding Contributions to Hip Hop from the Carnival, Choreographer's Ball, and the Drama Critics Circle Award for Best Choreography for the musical stand-up Tragedy. He also appeared in the movie Tango and Cash with Kurt Russell and Sylvester Stallone, and he did an episode on the show called Married with Children, which is my show too, Al Bundy. Now, after that, later on in life, Shabba-Doo said he needed a break. He had some issues he had to take care of. He needed a break from the industry and try to just find himself. And that's when he traveled the world and taught dance lessons. He called his dance style Shway, which means Shabba-Doo's way of dancing. House of Shway, urban dance and performance workshops. That's what he was doing. And he was teaching classes in New York, Italy, Germany, Paris, Tokyo, all around the world, man. He was also doing a lot of speaking engagements, seminars, helping with Broadway plays, and he started his own multimedia production company called Q Media. In 1996, Shabba-Doo graduated from the American Film Institute as a directing fellow in the master's program. In 2006, he helped choreograph the group 3-6 Mafia's performance at the 78th Academy Awards when they won an Oscar for Best Original Song for the song It's Hard Out Here for a Pimp. Wow, I didn't know he choreographed that show. That's crazy. And that same year, he helped choreograph the MTV sitcom called Blowing Up by Jamie Kennedy, who y'all probably know from the movie Malibu's Most Wanted. And he also helped choreograph the movie called Kicking It Old School with him too. On January 27th, 2010, all the Lockers reunited for a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Choreographers Carnival. In 2017, he also wrote and directed and appeared in the documentary titled The King of Crenshaw. But on December 29th, 2020, Shabba-Doo was found dead at his house, man. He was apparently found unconscious by a roommate and later pronounced dead by authorities. You know, I know just one day earlier he put a tweet out saying he was COVID-free, and then the next day he was dead. He said he was fighting a cold for a couple of days or a week or something, but that's crazy. He put the tweet out that he was COVID-free, he was feeling better, and then the next day he was just dead. And, you know, the autopsy report stated that his cause of death was from cardiovascular disease. He had clogged arteries. You know, Shabba-Doo had mentioned in one of the interviews I was checking out that he was working on his book called The King of Crenshaw. And I also heard that there was talk about another Breaking 3 movie. And plus he was trying to create his own dance competition show too before his death. So it's crazy, man. A lot of them died, man. Poppin' Taco just died too. You know, he was in that movie Breaking. He was part of that whole crew. And like I said earlier, he helped Michael Jackson in that Smooth Criminal video too, with that lean. When Michael Jackson was doing that lean in that Smooth Criminal video, Poppin' Taco helped him out with some of them scenes. You know, a lot of the original members, man, from the Lockers are dead too. Like, you know, of course, Fred Berry, Rerun, died back in 2003, died in his sleep. Don Camelot Campbell died months earlier in 2020. You know, 2020 was a rough year for people, man. Lost a lot of people that year, y'all. Kobe, Chadwick Boseman, Andre Harrell, Betty Wright, Little Richard. A lot of people, man. Man, but Shabba-Doo, man. Oh, man. 65 years old, y'all. He ain't even look 65 years old. You know, rest in peace, man, to the godfather of the street dance, Shabba-Doo.